Welcome to episode 41 of VR Roundtable. This is Steve, and I am joined by Anthony. Chris nor Gary is going to be with us this week. Chris is busy moving and doing college stuff as he moves into his new apartment. And Gary messaged us right before we started the show, and he has technical problems. His computer is currently down, so he can't join us. So you're going to be stuck with just the two of us today. But this show is going to be a little bit different. We are, lately we've had a lot of news. There's been E3, lots of things going on in that front, and we haven't had as much chance to talk about games. And it's very fitting because right now we still have the Oculus Summer Sale going on, and a few days ago the Steam Summer Sale just kicked off. So we've been playing a ton of games. We both bought a ton of games, and so we're going to keep the news light and have the game discussion very heavy. So, Anthony, how's it going in your part of the world?
Oh, it's going quite good. I don't know why I always talk about the weather like I'm 90 years old or something, but in Sacramento, it is mild, which is a big relief from last week, which was like 108. And it's I have my lights on. I don't have any fans on, and I was able to turn the air conditioner a little bit higher, so hopefully that won't kick on. And it's much better. So looking forward to playing some more VR when the show's over, because man, I'll tell you what, so long of this VR journey, you're thirsting for games. You want some games to play, and you might only have a handful of games. And right now I am just absolutely, it's like Christmas in late June.
Well, that's a common sell format. At least I know in my part of the country, you'll have those places that sell like whirlpools and decks and grills and pool tables. They always have a Christmas in July sale. And even though it's not quite July, it does feel that way. So I'm going to head and get us in our first news story. And really that news story is the Knuckles dev kits, Knuckle controller dev kits that Valve sent out, and the details they released on them. Not really reading from anything, not pulling from an article, because the information was just plastered all over all the VR sites and the VR subreddits, both Oculus, Vive, and virtual reality subreddits. But basically, it is Valve's answer, and this is a Valve product, and it doesn't. I haven't seen, and I could be wrong, I haven't seen any links to HTC with this, but this appears to be a Valve product, has their touchpad kind of in the middle. But they seem to have been influenced by Oculus's touch, but then they've taken it a step further. One of the things that the controller does, you hold it. It's a smaller controller. It's not big like the Vive wand, but you hold it and it'll sense digits similar to the Oculus Touch controller. But they have added the, I believe the pinky finger and the ring finger, and then of course the middle finger. I'm sure people are going to have fun with that. And you can just do more in terms of ergonomics with the hand. But for me, I'm personally not sure of the value of all the individual digit tracking, because coming from the experience with the Oculus Touch, I haven't seen a lot of games outside of First Contact where you really needed to have your index finger extended or your thumb in the air. The software isn't leveraging that, and I would be very interested how any future software will leverage that and what it may mean for fragmenting the market. But one of the things that I am excited for personally is that the way it kind of rests around the I don't know, your hand, the area below your knuckles, and I guess that's why they call it the Knuckles controller. You can completely release your palm and effectively drop the controller. You're not really dropping the controller, but you're dropping the portion that you hold it. And I can imagine, like you say, you're throwing a grenade or throwing a football, how much more natural that'll feel, because you're just releasing things, your entire hand, as if you're dropping an object. It's not like you're dropping you're just releasing the trigger like we do in most of our games. So to me, that's the most exciting part of these controllers. Anthony, did you see all the images and GIFs and stuff of these?
Yeah, I did see all of it, and it's interesting that we're hearing all about this right now. What it suggests to me, well, I don't know. I'm just wondering if like this is kind of like, okay, we got to get this information out. Is this a product that we're looking at quarter of this year, you think?
If it's out to devs, I would think we got 6 months left of the year. I would be surprised if it was something that was too much further out than that. Maybe early next year, but I don't think this is something we should be looking at summer next year, fall of next year, or anything like that. So I would have to say yes. I mean, the devs are getting these and should start the integrating them into their software.
Yeah, I mean that's the big question for me is like well seeing all of the information and seeing the way the hand, I mean there were some certain demos that were shown where it showed like the fingers holding this little ball and like squeezing it and all kinds of crazy stuff. And you see that and it's like, wow, Valve has taken it one step further because the touch provides a lot of really nice things about it, but this does look like they've kind of taken it one step further. But one of the things that has to be considered is you do have the band that's going to be wrapping around your hand. And that's what really is connecting to your hand. And then you have kind of the free floating knuckle controller that you then clasp onto. And I sometimes wonder about wearing that band for like really extended periods of time. Like you're kind of it's compromises back and forth. All these different control methods have all different compromises that come with them. But that's one thing I think about. And then the other thing I think about is like what is the retail reality of this thing? How much are these going to cost? Do we buy them individually? Do they come with a brand new headset that also comes with the new lighthouses that do they release the day one of Valve's big games are coming? There's like a myriad of questions. And then of course you brought it up. What about the backwards compatibility? What about the segmenting of the market? So many little things that have to be considered. So Steve, pick any one of those things. What did you want to reply to?
That's a little easier said than done, but really the fragmentation of the market, I guess, is probably the biggest concern to me. Is unless it's packaged with a whole new headset that can be tailored to, but even then that begs the question of let's say for argument's sake, let's say that these Knuckles controllers are included in the LG headset, and let's say that headset comes out this winter. Then what does that do for all the Steam VR developers or people releasing on Steam or just VR games in general? I shouldn't limit it to just Steam. How do they continually to address all of these fragmented bases? Going back into sort of a console versus PC space, everyone played with a gamepad or a mouse keyboard, but it was just input control. It didn't rely on all of these other variables. And if I'm a developer of a game, unless I've received some sort of exclusivity deal, I'm going to develop from the least common denominator. And I think that may be inherently prohibitive if there are a third of the PC headset community out there has the Vive wands, and another, say, quarter have the Oculus Rift controllers, and then whatever Microsoft's going to do with their controllers. I mean, we've seen them a little bit, but at the end of the day, I got to code, or I got to at least think of my game in the sense of who am I trying to get this to? How wide is my reach? And if it's across all of these controllers, then you're going to look for things that will translate. And I think all the gesture control, all the pinky finger, middle finger, ring finger, all that, I think that is probably going to really not be leveraged that much. And then what I think will be leveraged more is the grab mechanic. And again, I go back to what I said a few minutes ago. I think that is probably the biggest value in these controllers.
Yeah, you think about it and you know that Valve is going to have software there that is going to take automatic, like even if a developer does absolutely nothing to think about the Knuckles controller, I'm sure that Valve will have some type of translation algorithm thing that will automatically pair, well, the dropping, of course. Like in a lot of games, you'll have a gun, you'll have a sword, a torch, or a flask that you're drinking some magic potion in, and you want to drop it. And in most games, what you have to do is you double click the grab button. You have to double click it real quick and then it drops. But a lot of times it's kind of like, just doesn't work very right. So to be able to have that on the Knuckles controller where you simply just let go, that is going to be truly magical. And I think Valve can know every game, what is the drop mechanism? Okay, we'll just translate it to, convert it. So certain things are going to be converted, but like you're talking about with like the finger presence and Knuckles bending and being able to do the whatever sign or peace sign or different things that you're going to do. Sure, everybody's not going to introduce that into their games, but what we are going to see, it's going to be somewhat similar actually to the AIM controller for PlayStation VR, in that you're going to have that first party support that is going to really sell the concept. Valve, with those 3 games, anybody that's going to want to play any of those 3 games is going to want the Knuckles because it's going to be so integrated. So unless they price it at like $200 for the pair of them, or $169 for the pair of Knuckles, if they price it anywhere, say $129 and down, maybe even offer like a Knuckles controller by itself, I could see who's going to want to play those incredible Valve games with the standard Vive controller. A lot of people aren't going to want to do that. So that's going to lead the way. And then also, you're going to have developers scrambling to try to add special Knuckles features to their games, just like we see with the AIM controller. Look at Dick Wild. Look at any of the games on PSVR that also support that AIM controller. They're getting a boost of sales because people have this new exciting peripheral and they want to see what can happen with it. That's going to be even worse when better really on the Vive, because you're going to have so many developers scrambling to try to add special little movement things. It's going to help sell the peripheral. But my concern really is going back to this retail thing. So how are they going to introduce it? Are we going to get that Valve game the day that it's available? Actually, let's just go with that question. We know Valve are working on 3 secret games that when the first one hits, it's going to hit like a freaking hurricane. I mean, this is going to hit the VR industry and be a really big deal. Do you think there's a sliver of hope that maybe this November, maybe this December, we can actually buy this game, this controller, and play one of these Valve games? What would you put the percentage chance at?
Ugh. I don't know if I can. I'd say it rests mostly on the hardware and how this is going to be packaged. Is it even going to be backwards compatible with the Vive? Like, they haven't said that. Like, I think everyone's assuming so. And I would place a safe bet on there. So assuming it's backwards compatible with the Vive, so that all that needs to happen are these controllers developed or built and released to the public, and all Vive owners can run out and buy it for whatever price it is, $99, $150, whatever, and play a game. I'd say that that really stems on whether or not Valve has the game ready. Now, if it's not necessarily backwards compatible with the Vive and it's going to require a new headset or the new lighthouses, then the hardware may be the kind of the determining factor on that happening, because the game could be ready before that. But really, I mean, this is all just really a wild ass guess, speculation at what we think, because we don't have enough details. One of the things, though, that I did want to touch on about these, and it's just my own personal gripe and frustration, is I can't stand the actual touch trackpad. And for some reason, Valve is in love with them. I know it's on the Steam controller, and of course we had it on the Vive ones, but it looks like these are going to have that as well. And I personally, I can't get over how inferior they are to me to a thumbstick. And I think these controllers are going to be infinitely better for playing games with smooth locomotion. And I think this is going to be a major improvement across the board. But what are your thoughts on the actual trackpad? And I don't think you've tried touch, Anthony, but do you try to go back to the times you played with a gamepad and try to imagine what that would feel like if you haven't played touch? And do you think they made the right call with the trackpad?
Well, I mean, PlayStation VR, I'm playing with a thumbstick there. And I mean, it's usually a third person thing, but Resident Evil 7, standing up with my thumbstick, moving it, that's preferred to a trackpad. Trackpad, it's kind of sloppy, it's slippery. You don't have a specific direction you're going in. One of the issues that could be there though is the haptic feedback. If you take away that big circular area where you're putting your thumb and you put a normal thumbstick there, can they have the same tactile feedback sensations that kind of go in with that? That could be one of their resisting points. But it's a little bit like Nintendo where they're stubborn and they just stick with, remember, like on the 3DS with like their kind of or maybe it was one of the previous controllers, but they it's like, give us a legit thumbstick, because it just works better. It really does. So
It always reminds me of the and maybe you'll remember these, but I can't remember if they were actual Nintendo products or if they were the kind of the third-party stuff. But way back on the original NES, you had those alternate controllers that didn't have the D-pad, but they had the circular thing. You know what I'm talking about? Like, it really just reminds me of those, and I hated those things too.
It was like yellow, and it was.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that.
All right. Well, do you have anything else you want to go over on these Knuckles controllers, or are we going to go ahead and talk about games?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just close it out by saying that some of the demos that were shown were really incredible. I mean, the one with the ball was really cool. Just Zalubo Productions, the people that make the game Vertigo. It's a really super young kid that's based out of Seattle. He's like got a little bit of inside with Valve there, being in Seattle, and made the game Vertigo. His next game is going to take full and total advantage of these Knuckles controllers. And I have to imagine that if we're hearing so much about it now, it's got to be at least a fourth. We're going to see it in the year 2017. We have to see it. My prediction is $129.99 for a pair. That's my prediction. And hopefully late November, early December. The big Valve game, I mean, that's a shot in the dark, but I like to dream. But yeah, that's basically all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I hope it's 129 or something like that. The dang existing wands being 130 plus stupid shipping cost, because I don't know if you can still buy those on Amazon or not. I say still, like we ever could. I'm not sure if you can buy those from other retailers or if you have to buy them from HTC. And so the only thing that scares me is the existing product pricing on that, but it may be more of an HTC thing. So let's go ahead and talk about some games. And we got a lot to talk about, and we're just going to kind of just run through them and take our own pace. And until we're done with the game, we'll move on to the next. But the first one I want to start off with is the one that I am the most excited about. It's pretty cut and dry for me. I think this is one of the best games to come out this year, and that's the Mage's Tale. Full disclosure, the developer sent us a copy of the game pre-release, and so there's that. I just want to state that because I'm going to hype it up, and I'm hyping it up. We've gotten other games free, so this isn't. I just want to be clear that I'm not hyping it up because I got something free, but because I absolutely love this game. I think it is up there, and just in my personal taste, it's up there with Resident Evil 7 and Robo Recall, and it's kind of top 5 territory. And let me back up and talk about the game a little bit. So it's a dungeon crawler, which historically I can't speak too much to because I've never played any real specific dungeon crawler type game. I never got into it. I think they're as a genre are more prominent probably for PC gamers than so for console gamers, which prior to VR I historically was. But the developer In Exile, and they have I guess a series of games that are popular within the genre. Bard's Tale being, I guess, the most popular, and this game, the Mage's Tale, resides in the same universe. Now, for me, that didn't mean much because I don't know anything about the universe, and I'm not sure they're really connected in any way.
Hey, Steve, did you see Brian Fargo on Reddit reply to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty. I mean, Brian Fargo, he was a big deal in the '90s.
Yeah, and I kind of missed all of that. I just, I guess I wasn't into it. But what I really like about the game is it's just really well done. It's one of the few games done by a serious, professional, established developer, and they made this thing run really well. It's graphically, I think one of the best looking games, and it performs really well. And I'm playing it on a Rift. I did try it on a Vive on my Vive through Revive, and it still played really well if you enable what do they say in the Steam settings where you can basically force reprojection. I don't think it's actually forcing 90 frames per second or 45 frame per second reprojection, but I think it's an issue with with Oculus's ASW. So just as a tip, whenever you're playing Revive games, we personally discovered, myself and Gary, through other feedback from Reddit users, that enabling this or turning on always on reprojection. I'm sorry, I lost it. Always on reprojection when playing Oculus games through Revive gives you a pretty big stability boost if you're experiencing any judder. But anyways, the game plays really well. You're a mage, and it's a sorcery-based game, dungeon crawler. I'll get the locomotion out of the way because that's one of the biggest, I guess, critiques of this game that I've seen. Is it's teleport-based on one hand. So on your Oculus Touch controller with your right hand, you flick the thumbstick around, and it's teleport just like you've seen 1,000 times. Really, a lot like Robo Recall. In your left hand, though, if you flick the thumbstick, the developer is mimicking a grid system that I guess is more of a way these games are played much prior to VR. And you basically take a step forward with an up flick, a step backwards with a back flick, and then a side step depending on which way you flick the stick. And it's just one step at a time. And if you hold it down, it'll take a bunch of incremental steps, but it's not smooth. It has a judder if you hold it down, and that can be jarring. And I don't think the developer intended for you to necessarily hold it down and take 15 steps in a row that way. So a lot of people have been critical of that, and it's only fair, I guess. For me, it's not a big deal because I have issues with smooth locomotion, not from a motion sickness standpoint, but most games that I've played, and I think we're going to talk about at least one other game today that enables smooth locomotion when you're using the Oculus Touch or the Vive wands. It has an issue of when you're using that same controller to aim at something, the teleport or the locomotion and the function that you're trying to do are a little bit disjointed. But to get into the actual game itself, now that I've knocked locomotion and some of the technical background out of the way, the game is just awesome. It looks great. It has high quality voice acting, high quality production values. It feels like a true meaty game. It does not feel like an indie experience. It does not feel like it's made in a 16-year-old's basement. It feels like a true effort. The game is stated to have 10 hours of gameplay. I don't know. I'm at 3-ish hours in, so I don't know how true that is, but I know that seems to be largely true in that sense that you should get a lot of time out of the game. In fact, Brian Fargo, when he responded to me, he said as much. He had told me that, hey, you're going to get a lot of gameplay out of this. And then the actual gameplay itself, though, is really where it shines, I think, is you can by holding down a button, the A button and the X button on the Oculus Touch controllers, independent hands, you have this arcane shield, and you can just instantly pull it up and take it down. And then with the other two buttons, you can activate a spell, and then you cast your spell, like for example a fireball, and you throw it like you're throwing a grenade or something, and it just feels very authentic in that sense. And you know, none of us really know what it feels like to be able to cast a fireball from our hands, but I have to imagine that this is somewhat what that would feel like, and it just feels very fluid and very natural and very real. And package that together with a game of serious length, package that with a game that has high quality assets, high quality voice acting, although some of the characters can be annoying in that sense. It just all comes together for one of the very few all well-rounded complete experiences, and I think that's why I love it so much, because traditionally I'm not a fan of the genre, but the whole package is you know, very good, and we don't get that a lot, and I think that's why I'm high on it. Anthony, I know you've played it, and I know you don't like it as much as I do, so go ahead and give me your thoughts.
Oh, it's not that I don't like it, but actually, what I need to say something real quick, because we're going to be covering a couple of different Oculus games throughout the show, probably at least one more that I know of. But when it comes to playing Oculus games on Revive with Vive controllers, the experience is never one it's never ideal. It's never the way you would really want it to be. If you're playing Robo Recall on your Oculus setup with the native controllers and the proper number of sensors and whatever else you need to have, you're getting an experience that I can never get that experience. I'm always going to be a little bit under that experience. And then depending on whatever game you happen to be playing, it could be even worse. You know, it just depends if the controls kind of translate, if they don't. With Mage's Tale, well, I have a number of issues. One of them is performance. You talked about the judder, the stutter, or whatever that you get. I have always reprojection on, and I turned the asynchronous off. This one guy suggested have always on reprojection on, turn asynchronous off. I tried doing that, and then I tried putting it back on. I tried both different ways, and I still get like if I stand somewhere and I just look in one spot for a while, I will eventually see like a little bit of judder. But if I'm like doing stuff, I don't notice it after a while, and it's fine. But there is some performance issues. It could be related to the level of my PC as well. You have a 1070. You tried it on Revive. It seemed to work well for you. So that's something to think about. And then, but basically, it's just hitting the buttons. Like on the Vive, you speak about the Vive touchpad, and when the Vive touchpad is trying to do a Revive game, it's like trying to figure out where to actually hit on the touchpad to do this or to do that, and then where is actually the thumbstick. It's just not there, man. It's just not there. And so when I'm playing Mage's Tale, one of my biggest issues with it is like, am I ruining this experience by even trying this? I really want to get an Oculus Rift headset. I don't necessarily want to pay $650 or whatever, you know, with tax, shipping, and to get the touch and to get the Rift. But I really want one because damn, I would love to experience this in exactly the way it's meant to be experienced. But on any headset, the game is drop dead gorgeous. This is some of the best visuals I've ever seen. You go up to certain statues and certain walls, and or you look up at the sky and there's stars and stuff. There's just a lot of little details. There's like waterfalls, water that's dripping along the stone. Lots of little details everywhere. It's very similar to Vanishing Realms, but like Vanishing Realms if they had like 3 times the staff and 5 times the budget or something. You know, it's like you said, there's voiceover, there's voice work, there's actual characters, there's probably a more integrated story. I'm still very early in the game. The shields are cool when you hit the button and you do get those little mini shields. those shields are right there and they look like holograms, and you can combine them together and make a larger shield. You hit the blue thing and you can select whether you want your fireball, your electric ball, your ice blast. So the gameplay is cool. The one criticism I would have of the gameplay, and I'm very early on and I haven't battled some of the bigger monsters and stuff like that, but in battling just like the goblin guys that you battle early on in the game, one thing I've noticed is that I can basically just let them shoot whatever projectile thing they're shooting at me, and then I can just dodge my head real quick, and then I can do my fireball and just throw my Roger Clemens fastball right at them. And I might be playing it on easy or something, so maybe that's why it's too easy. But it's really simple for me to take these early guys out. The only times I've gotten stuck is where, like, at first I didn't know how to do the ice thing. I went to my laboratory that you go to your workshop to set up your spells, and I guess I never saw the little bottle that's over there that does the ice thing. So I was stuck in this one room for quite some time. So I'm still very early in the game, but it's clearly one of the elite VR games that we have. And Oculus, let's give them credit for what they are doing, because if nothing else, they are bringing some truly legit VR games that can stand up with actual flat games in terms of like story and production value and all that. And we don't have enough of those yet. We're still kind of starved on those.
I think that's why I like this game so much, is that I've kind of burnt out on the indie feel. And so much so that I'm going to have some, well, my family is going out of the country for a month, and I'm staying here because I got to work. And while they're gone, I am going to have a lot more downtime. And I've actually thought about picking up Horizon Zero Dawn and giving that a go, because I'm really, and it's maybe the post E3 effect after sitting through and watching the showcase and seeing all those games. Like, I'm really yearning for something with a really high production value, something that feels meaty and complete. And I was feeling this way prior to playing the Mage's Tale, and then after playing it, some of that went away. I got some of that appetite satiated. I guess that's the correct word. And I'm really digging it. A couple more points on the game, and then we can move on. The spell crafting, that's one of the big things. You find items all over the dungeons that you're in. There's lots of little puzzles. You don't have to solve them in most cases, and when you do, you're rewarded with loot, and a lot of times the loot are ingredients. And you go back to what's called your workshop, and you activate that via a gesture by holding your hand over your head, and you'll kind of just portal warp to your workshop. And in there, you have all these different ingredients. You have your main elements, which are fire, ice, wind, or I guess it's wind, and lightning or electric energy. And then you combine those with other things, different colors, different sort of modifiers, and I think the promotional material for the game said over 100 types of different spells can be generated, and I played around with that, but I've kind of also settled in on a core. I have one of each element, and I've settled in on that. One other things I want to mention is the developers said, I believe they said, or the publisher, somebody in an official capacity with the game did say that they are looking to bring the game to other platforms within 12 months. I interpret that to mean right now just the HTC Vive. I don't necessarily interpret that to be any Microsoft product yet, but it sounds like it's a 12-month exclusivity deal with Oculus. So take that for what you will. A lot of people don't like that. Me personally, if it gets us these types of games that we wouldn't have otherwise, then I'm on board. I'd prefer everyone have a chance to play it natively. But at the same time, going back to the way the Revive works, on the existing Vive with the Vive wands, if they put this game up in the Steam store, they still have the same control problem. They can't just, like, there aren't buttons there that they can remap this stuff to. So the Knuckles controller, it will be really what I think to make this game right on something other than an Oculus Rift. But setting that aside, again, the game I think is fantastic, and it's one of the games presently for me that I actually look forward to getting off of work, so that I can get home and jump back into the game. And I haven't felt that way since probably Robo Recall and Resident Evil. It doesn't happen too often. So I'm going to send it over to Anthony so he can choose the next game we're going to talk about.
Yeah, so since we're covering more recent stuff, might as well go with Vindicta, which came to us from the Game Cooks. Excuse me. So Vindicta, man, the way I would describe this game is like it's a shooter. It's not a wave shooter. You're going through levels. You have a mission that you're on. You're infiltrating UB Industries, and you're going through these like facilities, and there's these little scientist guys that are like these little robot guys that are rolling around. The environments are incredibly simple. You just have like tables, walls. It's there's not a lot of detail going on in this game, but you encounter these enemies. You encounter robots, different little spider-like creatures, little crab-like creatures. Different enemies come at you. But the real key to this game for me is the arm swinging locomotion. They have as an option this arm swinging locomotion, and there's two different versions of it. You can do arm swinging where you're looking forward, or you can do arm swinging where you can move your head in different directions, but you go in the direction that your hand is moving. And then there's also, I don't know if it's teleport or if it's just like a regular trackpad as the third option.
I think they patched to include a teleport, but the initial third option was just a smooth locomotion with your trackpad or your Oculus thumbstick.
Okay, so for me, though, the arm swinging where you can have your head free, that is the dream. That is why I am in love with this game, because the playability, it is so smooth. It is effortless. I'm just moving around these levels. I'm roller skating around these levels. Now, does it get tiring doing this over and over and over again? Eventually, yes, it does. But I kind of look at it as like an accidental exercise game. It's like I'm getting some extra exercise out of it. And you're just roller skating through the levels, and there's a robot, and I quickly move over here, bam, shoot him. Quickly move over here, bang, shoot him. They're shooting these shots at you, and they're coming like a projectile, and you have to move your head, and it's like Matrix. You hear the thing zoom right by you. The 3D audio is fantastic. Every once in a while, though, I did notice that the audio would occasionally cut out. Like there would be some little background like air conditioner noise that would just all of a sudden disappear, and then 10 seconds later it comes back on, and that's a little irritating. But the graphics are mediocre. They're okay. There's nothing incredible going on here, but I still feel like it's one of my absolute favorite Vive games, because when I'm in there, when I'm moving around, roller skating around these levels, shooting these guys, and the doors open up and they close, and everything is, there's no stopping, there's no loading, there's no irritating things. There's nothing that interferes. I'm fun factor. Remember the 90s. Remember the video game magazines of the 90s? They used to use this term fun factor. Vindicta has fun factor out the yin yang, because it's simple, it's pure, it's fun, it's fast. You flow so smooth. If you do the arm mechanic I'm talking about, I'm really loving the game. The one criticism I will say, the normal price of $30, that seems a little high to me. $20, I'd recommend it to everybody.
Yeah, I found this game, I'm going to speak completely honest. Like the game's not bad. I don't think it's bad. I think what I assume, I can't think of the developer off the top of my head, but what I assume is a relatively small team. I think they've done an incredible job. I find myself kind of like Vertigo, which was a game I was looking forward to. I find it hard to get hooked on it. It hasn't set its hooks in me, and it doesn't have me yearning to go back in and play it. And I think maybe because it is so simple. But I think it's also my sort of play style with a shooter. I watched some videos after I played this game a couple of times, and I realized a lot of people keep the skating going, and then they'll get real close to a robot or an enemy and just kind of just almost like shotgun them close range, and then they skate on to the next one and sort of shotgun the other ones, regardless if you're using a pistol or a shotgun. I'm saying shotgun in the.
That's the way to do it, baby. That's what you do.
Yeah, so like I think maybe I played the game wrong in that sense, because I'm more of a I don't know, just over the years I've established my own style. I'm more of a ranged type of person, so I like to line up the headshot and aim down the sights and kind of play it from a, I don't know, a sniper's perspective.
Hey, you know what I would do though is, like, if you're way down a hallway, right, and there's a robot way down the hallway and he shoots his bullet, you can skate towards his bullet and then just, I mean, it's so easy, it's so effortless, you know.
Yeah, because that's sort of also one of my critiques. Other than the drones, all the enemies that I found, all the robots, they just kind of stay in one spot and just shoot at you, and then they turn like those weird clown dolls in a horror experience. They just kind of stay in one spot, and then they turn and follow you, side to side as you move around a room and shoot relatively slow projectiles at you. So I didn't find the game very challenging in that sense. But I do get the appeal. And again, I'm not trashing the game, even though I found it hard to get really hooked into it. You can see that Anthony has the opposite opinion. He really is into it. So it's really just comes down to personal taste and style. But I can say that it runs really well. I have no performance issues. It does look simple. It's very kind of plain in its graphic, but it's at least sharp. It doesn't look blurry, which me personally, I will take sharp and simple over blurry and complex any day of the week. And the gameplay is there. It's a game that focuses on the mechanism rather than the ambiance and the background and the story, because in this game there isn't any. You're just kind of just there skating around shooting things. So it's worth checking out. I agree. I think maybe at $30 it's a little too expensive, and unfortunately they also launched this game in the same week. I'm pretty sure it came out on Tuesday. Again, this is another game we got early access to. Early access to. I don't know if it's in early access or not. And but it's coming out kind of with this around the same time of the Steam summer sale, and I'm afraid that it's maybe going to get buried in all that noise, and at the same time maybe it's not as lucrative of an attraction, because even though I think it has a subtle discount, it's not like a Steam summer sale like 50% off heavy type discount, which may mean that a lot of people pass over it, and that's just purely due to timing, unfortunate timing, I think, on the developer's part there. Anthony?
Yeah, I heard Jeremy Williams have tested, not in the most recent tested thing that just came out, but the other one from E3. They actually spent a short little amount of time talking about Vindicta, and they were talking about the arm swinging. And also, I think Devendra, can't remember his last name, but I believe of Engadget, he had some little video where he was at E3 and he happened to mention playing Vindicta. So it is getting a little bit of pub out there, but yeah, bad timing. Right before a Steam sale, you just get kicked off to the side, and there's so much stuff available right now.
And I do think you have to play it with the sort of the skating, the arm swinging motion, because I tried it with the smooth free locomotion, and it was kind of breaking in the sense, and I'm not sure they could have done anything different. So again, I'm not thinking it's a developer thing. It kind of harkens back to an overarching theme of smooth locomotion for me, but when you locomote with your left hand and you hold the thumbstick or the push the trackpad the direction you want, you're really telling it, I want to go forward, and where it derives that reference point to determine what forward is in this game is it's the where you're aiming the controller. So yeah, you have decoupled, you can walk one way while looking another, so it's decoupled in that sense, but it's still, if you're trying to do anything else with that hand while locomoting, you can't aim right while pointing left because you want to walk left. So it kind of, if you use anything other than that this arm swinging locomotion. You kind of have this decoupled, move somewhere, stop, shoot, 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 start moving again, stop, shoot, shoot, shoot. And that's sort of one of the downsides. And I know everyone's so high on smooth locomotion now that it's kind of the public's opinion, but there is a downside, and I think this is it.
Well, you know, you're jogging or you're sprinting, and if you were doing that in real life, if you're moving your arms back and forward like this in real life, then how are you going to instantly turn and shoot? You know, it's kind of difficult to do that. And so it's difficult to do that in this game. So I run at the robot. I let them shoot their bullet. I immediately slightly dodge. I take off sprinting. I get like 3 feet to the right of them, and then bam, headshot. And I love it. This game is simplicity to the 12th degree. You have one ammo pickup that is exactly the same no matter what gun you're using. It's like one little square box. You have one health pickup that is exactly the same throughout the entire game. There's a whole bunch of different weapons, and you have 2 side holsters. You can put 2 weapons down here, and then you can have 2 weapons in your hand. And you got to admit, Steve, some of these weapons, some of these machine guns, maybe you didn't play long enough to get farther in it, where there's some really nice machine guns. There's some cool little sub-auto machine guns that are really nice.
Yeah, I don't know if I got every weapon, but I probably at least put an hour into this game. I didn't time myself. And again, I don't think the game's bad. It just I haven't been motivated to really stick with it. And maybe it's because I got so much other stuff to play. This is a bad timing all around, I guess. And to my point specifically, yeah, when you're doing the arm swinging locomotion, you're right. I was talking specifically more about the smooth locomotion, where you're not necessarily swinging your arms, and that's sort of the decoupled point that I was trying to get at. That it just never felt quite right. And I think the developer gave those other options because the community demands at this point. They're demanding various locomotion options with most games, and I think the developer had the foresight to include that. But I just have this feeling. I don't know. They didn't tell me, but I have a feeling that they really centered this game around the swinging arms, and that's what they probably all in the office what they like playing, and that's what they kind of thought was the most fun.
I want swinging arms in every single game. I just bury it in the menu, let me dig into the menu and turn it on, and let me try it for a couple minutes, because I love roller skating around these games. It's like I'm on a Segway. I'm just roller skating around. It's beautiful. I love it.
Yep. So let's go ahead and move into the next one. I'm going to bring up what is probably has the most hype right now. And we talked about timing with Vindicta for Steam Summer Sale. It's kind of also not sure what Oculus was thinking in terms of timing this within the same week as the Mage's Tale, because this game, or this beta, has completely just flooded the Oculus subreddit to the point where I don't see Mage's Tale being talked about or anything else really. And that's the Lone Echo Arena beta. It's the multiplayer component, I guess, of Lone Echo. And at E3, Oculus or I believe the developer Ready at Dawn announced that Echo Arena will be a free-to-play side product of Lone Echo, although it takes place, it's made by the same people. It's basically they're giving you the multiplayer portion of Lone Echo for free, so it'll be no cost. And what they're really trying to push this as is they're trying to push this as sort of VR's Rocket League or something to that effect. And I played a couple matches with it because I didn't have a lot of time. The beta was limited to only this weekend, and so I didn't have a lot of chance to play it too much. But I did give it at least, I think it's 3 matches I played, and plus the tutorial. I didn't do it ahead of the beta opening up. But the game it's pretty flippin' incredible. Just kind of lay out the theme and what the match is, what the arena is. There was a movie, Ender's Game or something like that came out, I don't know, 4-ish years ago. But in that movie, and it's got a lot of nerd lore, Fortunately, I don't know what that nerd lore is in that movie, but in it there's a sport, a team based kind of team versus team thing, a lot like Quidditch in the Harry Potter series, and you this Echo Arena basically seems to be that game minus the guns. There are no guns in it, so if you take that and you take the guns out, then you're left with this game. But it feels so right for VR. It's all anti-gravity, and you kind of thrust from ledge to ledge as a grabbing point, and there's a disc in the middle of the arena at the beginning of the round, and you got to just navigate yourself to the disc before the other team does. And then once you get it, kind of like playing football or something, your goal is to take the disc to the enemy side and throw it through this little goal. I guess soccer is probably a more accurate way. So it's like anti-gravity soccer with a disc, and it sounds simple, and it is, because all you got to do is get to that disc and throw it through the goal. But the whole locomotion and the mechanics, it's really fitting for VR because you're not having to do things with your feet. We talked about Vindicta just now, and swinging your arms to represent your feet sort of running or roller skating. Well, this game, you're not swinging your arms, but you're using your arms as your locomotion mechanic, and it feels fluid, and it kind of takes away from the fact that we don't have tracking controllers on our feet trying to do something. So it's real simple, but I could see this thing being huge, and I think it's going to be incredibly popular. And I'm not going to say it's going to be VR's killer app that's going to make people necessarily run out and buy the headset, although it might make few. I could see this thing having a very dedicated fan base that just sticks with it. With that in mind, that's also its big critique for me. I am not going to have the time to be dedicated to this. And I think it's going to run into a situation where the types of people that built clans and they play clan wars or other esport type competitions, I think they're going to be so dedicated to this and going to spend so much time to this that anyone new to it or anyone that isn't overly dedicated is going to possibly get behind the curve, and it may be hard to just kind of jump in casually without effectively being curb stomped by a team of people who play this all day, every day. So Anthony, I don't know if you mentioned having a chance to check this out. Did you?
Yeah, I checked it out. And so is it 4-on-4 when you're actually in the game itself? Is it 4-on-4? 3-on-3?
I'm not sure. I was so focused on just trying to get to the thing, I wasn't sure. But yeah, it's in that range. I want to say, if I had to guess, I think it's 4-on-4.
Yeah, it's either 4-on-4 or 3-on-3, because I know I had 3 people on my team at least. But the thing that blows me away, this game actually, okay, so playing Mage's Tale and then playing this beta, I really, really want an Oculus Rift headset. And what I really want is the touch controllers. Or if there was like some random Chinese company that took touch controllers and put freaking Vive little sensors all around it and somehow made it work where I could just use touch controllers. Because playing this, again, I hate to beat a dead horse, but I can't compete. There's no way. In Revive, there's no way I can compete with native touch people. When I was in the game that I was playing, everybody was talking about how many sensors they had and stuff. So I'm pretty sure almost like pretty much everybody there, I think, was native Oculus, and I was the only Revive guy. And it's just because you have these little thrusters that are on your wrists that are awesome. When you see the little thrusters moving, you can control yourself so perfectly. You have light thrusters that shoot out of your wrists on each side. The inverse kinematics is awesome. You look at your hands, you're like, oh my God, look at my robot arms. These look really good. They move really right. It feels so natural and effortless when you're moving around. There's no nausea whatsoever. You're going to see a lot of these zero gravity games. You got Space Junkies. There's a number of them. Project Boundary for PlayStation VR. And the reason why is because they figured out that if you like push yourself from one object to one object, your brain is like, yeah, this makes perfect sense. I'm perfectly okay with this. And it works great. But I was in there playing, and I was having a ton of fun. But when I got in the actual game, because I was kind of screwing around in the waiting area, talking to other people, it's it's amazing how many young little kids are in somebody's Rift headset, like freaking 5 and 6 year olds, or well, maybe 8 or 9 year olds are in somebody's Rift headset. But you're in this social group, you're talking to people, you're kind of flipping a disc around and moving from object to object. And then you get into the actual game when you join the game. And when I got into the game, I just couldn't, like, I couldn't even shoot myself, because you hit one button to thrust yourself, the hard thrust, that hard thrust. You got to be aimed in a certain direction. You
Yeah, I
hit that
think they
hard
call
thrust.
that a boost.
Yeah, the boost.
And for me, on the touch, you click the thumbstick in, but I'll get back to you. I'm not trying to cut you off, but I had issues with the controls as well, even though they're very simple. And I think it's one of those things where I think you just get really good at it. But the boost and the thrust and thinking to go through both and when to go through both, that was hard for me, even with a touch.
You know how there's the countdown? It's like 10, 9, 8, or they go through like maybe 15 seconds or whatever. And you have these little tubes that you're trying to get to. And you're trying to get to the end of the tube so that as soon as the countdown is over, boom, you're out there. You're bursting out there. You're heading for the disc. Well, I was with 3 other Rift owners, I'm sure, because they were instantly boom, 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 boom. They immediately got there. And me, I'm struggling with my Vive. Like, where on the touchpad am I supposed to hit? It's not working. I'm not hitting this. I'm stuck on the side walls and stuff.
I had the exact same problem, and I was using a Rift. I think you were just playing with people that are probably on their 47th match and have been playing it since Friday afternoon without sleeping.
Wow,
Because and I know there are some people that do that. I saw some people that had much higher levels, that they'd already changed their outfits, like had different gear, and it's like any other game of this nature. It's like a Call of Duty launches, and then 8 hours later, someone's already prestiged, and and because they played the game for 20 straight hours, and it's people that have the time to do that, and I'm not knocking them. I mean, I used to back when I was in college and stuff.
You know what's fun though is when you boost on somebody and then you smack them in the head, and because you can temporarily knock people out of order for a couple of seconds, and like somebody will just sneak up on you and bam, and you're like, damn, that fool got me.
So yeah, I got knocked out. I don't think I ever knocked anybody out. So it has an element of skill and getting good, and that's the one thing that concerns me as a person that won't have the time to just dedicate hours after hours for it on a daily or weekly basis, because I was seeing that already just in a short beta. I was seeing how much of a disadvantage I was because I didn't get a chance to hop into it until late on Saturday for a beta that opened up on Friday. And a lot of the problems you had with Revive, I had similar problems using native Oculus controllers. So I thought Revive with this one actually would work pretty well because the controls are simple. I think it's just a skill set thing. One last thing I want to say about this game, I think it was genius to do this beta. Unfortunate for the Mage's Tale, because I think it took some of the hype that game could have continued to get the remaining of the week. But I think it's genius for Lone Echo, because basically what they did is they gave everyone a taste. They gave them that first hit of the crack cocaine, and now they're going to come back for more. And I think this inevitably will boost the sale of Lone Echo, even though they're giving this portion, Echo Arena, away for free. I think this can only help Lone Echo.
I don't think Lone Echo is going to need much help. I mean, that's Ready at Dawn. That's space. It's a prime time game made with great production values, and I'm sure a lot of money was spent.
What did you think of the graphics? I thought the graphics in this game were really, the portion that we see, like the texture inside the little pod that you launch from, it was kind of simple. There wasn't anything very elaborate being done, but it looks like the textures and the attention to detail was real good. Did you notice any of that?
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. The Mage's Tale and Lone Echo, or Echo Arena, everything looks beautiful. One thing I am noticing, and this is just back again, is our headsets are holding all of this back. Like Mage's Tale, imagine how great Mage's Tale is going to look 2 years from now when you got a way better headset. If you ever remember to go back and look at it, oh my God. And same thing with this Echo Arena, like all the little details and stuff, but you're dealing with this fuzzy headset. But what happens is you eventually get caught up in the gameplay and you forget the fuzziness, and then you buy into the experience, and it's awesome.
Yeah, that's what VR kind of as a whole, like you always put it on, at least for me, I put it on and I notice just the inherent flaws of current VR headsets, which, you know, is the resolution, the screen door, and then the lens artifacting. I think all three of those things have to improve, but once you're in a good game, it all kind of goes away. So I think you're going to pick the next game.
Yeah, so I don't think you've played this one, but I'll just quickly give my take on it and then we can move on to the next one. Steam sale, right? Everybody knows about the Steam sale right now. Twisted Arrow, $5. Buy it. If you remotely enjoyed Longbow in the lab, then you want to buy Twisted Arrow, because what Twisted Arrow is, it's basically Longbow, but you're moving from node to node, and instead of having this really bright, colorful with the little characters running around that pop into balloons and all that stuff, it's really dark, it's muddy, there's zombies, there's explosions, there's helicopters, there's assault turrets and stuff like that. But it's very similar to Longbow in terms of you're constantly like, I got to shoot this guy up there, I got to shoot this guy over there, I got to shoot this guy over there, shoot this guy. You're constantly doing the bow and arrow. Another thing too, accidental exercise. If you want an awesome there's two different types of VR gamers, right? There's the type that doesn't want to be moving around all the time, and then there's the type that wants to move all around. I guess there's probably like 10 types, but if you're the type that doesn't want to move around at all, you might want to avoid this one, because you are going to be constantly doing this. I had played Twisted Arrow so long that later that evening, I had this like weird pain that was like in my armpit. And I was like, oh my God, what's going on with me? What is this weird pain? And then the next day I was playing Twisted Arrow again. And when I felt the exact pain, like when I moved a certain way, and it's because I'm probably activating certain muscles I normally don't activate all the time, because it is very physical. But basically, it's the other beautiful thing about this game. This is Phaser Lock Interactive as a developer. They made Final Approach, which is also on sale for an incredibly low price. I think it's like $4. But Phaser Lock Interactive, I give them a ton of credit in this game, because what they did here is everything, the production values, the sound effects, moving from area to area, it all just has a cohesiveness. It just feels so good. This is actually very similar for me to Vindicta, from the standpoint that what I said about Vindicta, fun, fast, easy, smooth, clean, it's that same type of thing with Twisted Arrow. You're going to be moving your arms a lot. Your arms are going to get tired from constantly doing the bow and arrow stuff, but you get a feel for the bow and arrow. Shooting long distance shots is a hell of a lot different than shooting really short shots. There's all kinds of little boxes that you can shoot your arrows at. You break up the boxes and you get like other power-ups and stuff like that, or health or whatever, and you got to shoot your arrows super far to get health. You got to shoot your arrows and turn off these cameras. And I'm early on in the game, but oh my goodness, this is a great if you've got $5 to blow, Twisted Arrow, I'm guessing that 20 people that try this, there might be 3 that like don't like it for whatever reason, but the other 17 people would like it. It's awesome game.
Yeah, I know I haven't played it. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna buy it. I haven't made all of my Steam sale purchases yet. I kind of have them all in a cart ready to go. I got so much other stuff to play. I wanted to hold on buying them so that I intentionally wouldn't play it. Sounds stupid, but it's what you got to do. It's my way of making sure I get through things. It's kind of a self-control coping mechanism.
There's too many good deals out there, man. There's too many good deals, and we're overflowing with games.
And honestly, like, so you know, you got a Vive when it launched. I got a Vive over a year ago last year. And so a lot of the Steam sale games, like, you know, going back to all the last year's hits, Audio Shield and all of those, I've played them all. So I just got the Rift back in March. So I'm going back and eating lunch, I should say, and a lot of those Rift games that came out last year that were popular and were good that I never picked up, because Rift games tend to be a little more like, I should say Oculus games, not Rift games, but the games on the Oculus store, they tend to be a little bit more kind of like PlayStation in the sense that they're a little higher price. Now, I think it's totally fair, because I think the quality of the development that you're getting there, you're getting games that are less likely to be made, you know, by one guy, you know, in his den or something like that. So I think the price is there, but because of the price, I can't just go out impulse buy 3 games a week. I have to be a little more intentional from the Oculus perspective. So this Oculus summer sale, it's gotten me doing a lot of impulse buying, which is good. It's what they intend, and it's good because I have a chance to play all these games that I didn't get to play. So much so that I'm segueing into the next one, and that's VR Sports Challenge. That came out free for most people that bought a Touch last year, but by the time I got around to it, they were no longer including that with the with Robo Recall and Dead and Buried and Medium and Quill. So it's a game that I wanted to play, but it's not. I didn't think it was worth $30, and which I think is its normal price, either 30 or 40. It's not a $20 game, and I thought it was too expensive. And after getting it now on the summer sale for $10, I do agree. I think at $30 it's too expensive, but for $10, I'm really I feel like I've already gotten my $10 worth. I won't set the game up too much. Everyone listen to this probably already knows what it is, but it's sports. You have some basketball elements, some football elements. There's a baseball home run derby. There's hockey. I haven't even played the hockey portion yet. But personally, I'm a big fan of basketball and football. And I've really enjoyed this for the novelty that it is. Like, it's not very deep mechanics. I'm not going to be coming back to it 8 months from now, unless it's to show a sports loving friend of mine who's demoing my VR. Because I think with the football one in particular, I feel like I've already mastered it to a point where it's like every pass I throw is a first down, and like I never miss. It's pretty simple in that sense. But when you're experiencing it for the first time, it feels kind of good to like when you're playing football, you kind of have to not kneel, but kind of stoop over like you're the quarterback ready to receive the hike. And then you got to trigger the hike by squeezing both triggers. And then you have to actually scan the field and find your open receiver and throw the ball. And then after you throw it, it kind of cuts to the receiver, and you have to, you know, sort of Odell Beckham on the cover of Madden every catch. You know, you get all crazy with it, and it's just fun. You feel like you're some kind of professional sports athlete that is you know, making an amazing play every time you do anything. So it's just kind of fun. And what did you think of it? I know you played it because you like me had been holding off on that one.
Yeah, so with the Oculus sale, which is a great sale as well, this was one that when I was first looking at all the sale prices, and then I saw that this one hit $10, I was like, okay, absolutely. At 30, it's $30, I believe. $29.99, I believe, is the normal price for that. And for that price, it is a little bit. I mean, you'd have to really fall in love with all of the mini games that are included to go there. But for $10, I think it's a steal, especially if you like. This is almost like a little Nintendo Wii Sports or something. You get a couple of different events that you can play. You have, I've only tried the football one and the basketball one so far. Those are the two that I tried. And the football, yeah, you bend over, you're hiking the ball, you try to find an open wide receiver. Sometimes you have a big linebacker that comes running at you, and then he disappears at the last second. But like when that guy is steaming, you know, full head of steam at you for a quick second, you almost get a little flinch, like, oh shit. Did you experience that with the linebacker?
Yeah. So the game set up like, so it's always, but when you go into a game, you don't go in from kickoff of the first quarter, talking football specifically. It's kind of, you're in the last 2 minutes or something in the fourth quarter, and your team is down, and you're the backup quarterback that and the main quarterback has just got his arm broken or something, and so you have to go in and you got to save the day. And so each time you kind of relive this same experience over and over and over. But each time you go through it, you unlock things. So the next time you play it, so if you get unlocked enough, that linebacker doesn't just disappear. He actually will take you down.
Sweet.
Yeah, so it puts up a sort of it's sort of like an ongoing tutorial in that sense that like each time you do it, the game gets harder, the AI gets a little more challenging. In basketball, like when you first start off, the defender will never block your shot, but then you progress far enough and it gets to the point where he'll block your shot, like if you try to like shoot a three or something over him, or block your pass or your alley oops. And so it gets progressively more difficult, but it's still, once you kind of get it, it's still easy because you're able to it doesn't require a Madden type of expertise where you got to really learn the mechanics. Once you learn how it's done, you can almost kind of BS it. And it's funny. There's all this campy humor around it. So it's like I've gotten good enough where I'll play it and literally I'll first down, I'll throw a pass for 20 yards. First down. Next time, I'll throw another pass for 15, 18, 20 yards and score a touchdown. And I'll end up, winning by 2 or 3 touchdowns. And the coach will say something like, even if we win this game, it's the defense that does it, not you. It says stuff like that. And it's just real campy and it insults you a little bit, but it's a good kind of thing. And I think if you haven't played this game and you like sports in any way, I don't recommend it if you're not a fan of football and basketball or hockey. But if you are
a fan of mini games, unless you're like a fan of mini games, and it's super arcadey, it's for $10. Honestly, even if you're not a sports fan, I think you might find something here.
Yeah, the alley ooping is also fun. Again, I mentioned how like every play you do is kind of like this Sports Center top 10 worthy thing. Like, so you'll throw an alley oop, you'll see your teammate, he'll kind of cut to the go and he'll start a leaping motion, and you see that and you just kind of pass the ball in his general direction and it'll trigger this slow motion alley oop. And it's so slow that you can do like, if you really get into it, you catch the ball and you can do like 720-degree dunks and put the ball between your legs that you don't have in the game, but you're actually like passing you're passing it between your real life actual legs and dunking it, because each dunk takes like 3 seconds to complete because it's so super slow-mo. You just feel like this just kind of ridiculous level of superstar, and that's really what makes it, I think, really fun. So the next game's yours, I think.
Yeah, let me see here. What did I have? Dead Effect 2. Okay, so Dead Effect 2 is from Badfly Interactive, and we did get a key for this, so just that being known. But Dead Effect 2, I remember when this game first hit Steam, like the day that it hit, there were a lot of people ranting and raving about how great this game is, that like some people were comparing it on the same level as like an Arizona Sunshine and stuff like that. And I had a good buddy of mine that got it right away, and he was ranting and raving about it as well. So I was really interested in this game, but I didn't happen to jump on it right away. But then Badfly Interactive hooked me up with a key, and I tried the game out, and I gotta say that if you like Doom 3 BFG, this is like the same freaking thing, except it might be a little bit better, because this is, of course, I mean, this wasn't made in 2004. And so it doesn't have some of the jankiness that Doom 3 BFG still kind of has in certain aspects. But graphically, I mean, there's voiceover work, there's storyline. Graphically, some of these zombies that come at you, they scared the hell out. I mean, not scared the hell out of me, but some of these zombies, like if you really take a close look at them, it's some nightmare fuel with some of this. And you get like shotguns and stuff where you have to, if you connect your other controller to it, you hold it two-hand style, you have better control over it. and you're just blasting off their heads left and right. One of the downsides of the game is when you blast these zombies, they all kind of die the same way. They all kind of explode the same way and have the same splatter of blood. And so I didn't see a lot of like different animations as far as that was concerned, but the voiceover work is pretty good. I mean, you have some people trying like different accents and stuff, and some of it is a little on the cheesy side, but this is a real story and the graphics are beautiful. The gameplay is super smooth. Trackpad motion just slipping and sliding all over. Now, it's not the arm swinging thing, so I wasn't quite roller skating around the world in this one, but I'm early in the game, but I'm loving what I've seen so far. Did you get a chance to play this one, Steve?
Yeah, I think this is a very good game. Kind of one precursor though, from what I understand, I've not played it, but it is a port of a mobile game, which is very interesting that a part of a mobile game can come to VR and actually look this good and be this popular. It does feel a lot like Doom 3 BFG VR mod. Except it doesn't have all the problems since it's not a mod, it's an actual game the developer has converted. It doesn't have all the problems that Doom 3 BFG has, in the sense that you'll go to a cutscene and the screen will be all sideways and weird camera angles and stuff. So it's good in that sense. It has progression, like there's actually leveling up and sort of a loot type based system, and it's just it does a lot of things really well. There's a story, there's characters. There's really not a lot bad to say about it. It's a very good game, and it's one that I am going to go back to. Unlike Vindicta, where I said it couldn't put its hooks in me, this game has put enough of a hook in me that probably when I wrap up Mage's Tale, I'm going to go back to this one, and I can't say anything bad. It's just, it does things really good. It looks good. It's kind of got a sort of reminds me a little bit like that Drop Dead game on Oculus. It's going for a realistic look, but also a little cartoony at the same time. But it looks really good. And the headshots, like you get a headshot on a zombie type creature. There's creature variety, which is something that sounds silly to say, hey, there's variety of creatures, but in VR it's something that you can't take for granted. There's the zombie type things, but then there's the dogs. I really only played I guess the first full mission, and I met the lady, I forgot her name, Dante or Dun something, and I met her, and then she launches you onto the second mission, and that's where I cut it off in my one playthrough. But I really enjoyed it. Really, the only bad thing I can say about the game that kind of got on my nerves is sometimes when you're walking, there'll be like not a step, but just something on the floor that's maybe elevated, and your character will kind of do this, and that can be, sorry for those listening to the audio podcast, I just made a video or a gesture that you probably won't get, but basically you'll go halfway through a table and then it kind of shoots you back. Yeah, it's just there's a few kind of mechanic things. I don't know if it's because it's the translation of it being a mobile game or what it is, but a lot of VR games, you're wearing the headset and you don't have a body, and so as you traverse over something, if there's a small object, let's say there's you blast someone's head off, it's be very graphic, but then you go to walk over that head, it's not a collision issue, because in the game all you are two hands and your headset. But if they try to actually build out your whole body, and the game hasn't super developed its collision system, then when you go to walk over that object, in this case the severed head, your character will actually step over it and will jump up a foot or so, take one step, and then come down a foot. And then in VR that can be a little jarring for me. Like occasionally I would just be like, my elevation, which almost like you're losing tracking for a moment, like your elevation will change just for a step and then drop back down. There are a few points of there that I think are really just sort of an optimization or tweaking to their collision system would address it, if they're going to. They may not do it because it's not You know, it's a port of a game, and it may be so ingrained to their whole engine that they can't undo it. But that's the only bad thing. It's the only thing that I found from this game that I didn't like, and it's certainly not a deal breaker. And that's just me feeling like I should say, give it a con. Like, if we're going to talk about games, I feel like I got to list some pros and some cons. And for me, that's a con. Like, and it's really the only one I could come up. I think every Vive owner, well, every VR owner should pick this up.
You know, I got a little bit further in the game, and you start to get to these levels where there's like water up to almost like your knees or so. It's like a flooded hallway, and the graphics look damn good. It's very similar to Doom 3 BFG graphically, but Doom 3 BFG is very dark, almost too dark at times. Like, sometimes you can't even see like where the ceiling is. It's almost too dark. And this game is not super bright, but there's a lot of color going on everywhere, and there's a lot of sparks that are flying. And the zombies, when you get close to them, people compared this to Arizona Sunshine. And that first day when it was on Steam, and like some guy was like, "This is better than Arizona Sunshine. I don't know what you guys are talking about. This is better." And I saw that. I was like, you got to be out of your mind. But now actually playing the game and seeing some of these zombies up close, they have different looks to them. And like I said, if you really look at these zombies, there's some freaking nightmare fuel. These zombies look pretty crazy when you get, because there's that guy Milliken, you know, the guy. Did you get to the part where you're dealing with the guy Milliken?
No.
Okay, there's this guy Milliken, and he's like this short, stubby guy. And you talk to him, and he talks to you, and you're like standing inches away from him. And it's that always kind of trips me out. You know, you're looking at this human looking character, and it's like, if the animations were a little bit better, this would be even creepier than it already is. But for $20, I think the normal price is $20. I think this is one of the rare cases where this game maybe is underpriced. It could be 25 or something. I'd probably be okay with it. We did get the key for free, so full disclosure, but this is up there for me. I mean, Doom 3 BFG VR mod is one of my top 10 VR games, and this is doing basically everything that game is doing, and in some ways doing certain things a little bit better. So definitely recommend this one.
And it doesn't have the glitches of it being a mod, like when you go into the cutscenes and stuff that you have to endure with Doom 3 BFG. Okay, moving on. I'm starting to get a little bit drier now. The games that I'm going to talk about are a little less experience and spend as much time with them. But we got a key for the PlayStation VR for Chess Ultra. And this may catch you by surprise. I didn't put it on my list, Anthony, because I just now remembered it. But Chess Ultra is a chess game, and the developer gave me a key. And disclaimer: I don't know how to play chess. It's one of those things. Like it's kind of like, you know, reading a world-renowned novel or watching a classic movie that it seems like everyone else has seen but you. Chess, for me, is like one of those things like, I'm going to learn chess this year, like kind of like a New Year's resolution or something I never do. For all my years, I've never learned chess. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be an opportunity because it's in VR and it has a teaching mode where it'll teach you how to play chess. So I get the game and I boot it up, and sure enough, you can go through the tutorial. It teaches you what each piece does, teaches what a pawn does, how they can move, and gives you some kind of basic strategy. And because of this game, I don't want to say I've learned to play chess, but I am starting to understand chess. And I believe it's a $15 game on PlayStation. Now I got it for the PlayStation VR only because the developer asked me. I didn't specify. Come to find out, it's also available on Steam, so you can play this, I'm pretty sure, where the Rift is, and then obviously in HTC Vive. So I'd be very curious how it plays there. But on the PlayStation VR, it is too blurry, and I can't go back into it because it kind of gave me a headache. It is, first of all, I'm playing on a Pro. I'm pretty sure this does not have any sort of Pro mode. But it is a blurry mess. Like, and I don't need the the graphics are actually very good. Like the chess pieces and the rooms they put you in, it's all like behind the resolution. I could see that it's all really well done in that sense, but it's running. It reminds me, the only other game that I felt this way about was Here They Lie, before it got its PS4 Pro patch, and before they did any tweaks. It was so bad blurry that it causes headaches, and it's not even a motion induced thing for me, because you're sitting static looking at a chessboard. So I can't recommend the game for VR. Now, this is also a game that you can play outside of VR, and actually may just play it that way, because I still have very much an interest in learning chess, and I think this can be a very fun way to learn it, because you don't have to actually deal with a chessboard and setting up actual pieces and trying to read from the internet or something. It gives you mechanics, and it gives you all the benefits of it being digital, while also feeling like you're reaching out and grabbing the pieces and moving them around. So if you're a big chess fan, maybe keep your eye on it. Like, all they have to do is like create a PS4 Pro patch, or really just in general address the resolution issue, and I'll recommend it, because it's cheap enough, and it seems to be from a graphical and fidelity issue other than resolution, seems to be really well done. But for now, I can't get over the blurriness.
Yeah, I haven't played it. I'm one of the rare people that don't know anything about chess either. I'm basically in your exact same situation. Even my kids have learned how to play chess, and I've always, whenever I think about it, I think that's going to require too much effort, too much time for me to really learn it. So it's almost like learning how to play Pinochle or some weird card game, and it's like, yeah, I could learn it, but do I really want to sink all that time into it? So I'm not.
Well, when I get old and retire, I want to sit at a McDonald's and have coffee and like play chess with other old guys. Like it just seems like
to be out in the New York Central Park or something.
Yeah, or whatever. Like it just seems like such an apropos perfect thing to do, and like I don't want to miss that, because I feel like that's still going to be a thing when I'm reached that age. I got a long way to go before I can really start thinking about that, but yeah, I just got to learn chess, and I'm hoping I can stick with it. So I actually, in a related note, I bought Dungeon Chess on the Oculus because of the sale. It got me with an impulse buy. It was $5, so I bought it. Graphically, the game looks great. Like all the chess pieces have a like they're actually like a rendered character, and as they you take out a pawn or something, they'll actually like slash with a sword. They're like animated little chess pieces. Looks incredible, but it doesn't have any tutorial elements, so you have to go into that game knowing how to play chess. Like if these two developers could actually bring their game together, it would be incredible. Like I'd love it. So there's a little bit on that. So next one's yours, I think.
Yeah, so the ones that I have left over now, I mean, I don't know how long we're gonna go for, but I just have like some quick hitters. Like, not, I don't want to like get into them too deeply, but Rez Infinite for PlayStation VR. I've never gotten this game, and the reason I never got it was because it was $30, and I had played Rez HD a little bit. I played the original Rez way back on the Dreamcast a little bit, but never finished them all the way. And I think it was only like rentals where I kind of sampled it, never got that far into it. And so when this came out on PSVR, I was like, yeah, I bet you it's going to look cool. I mean, I tried the demo. The demo was cool, but the $30 price tag always kind of kept me away from it. Well, ultimately, I have to admit, I did get a key for this. It's like a reoccurring theme. It's almost like we're finally getting a wee bit of respect out there among developers. But actually, I'll give even more credit. Enhanced Games gave me a bunch of keys, and I had a giveaway. So I was able to give away some Rez Infinite keys as well. So that was cool. But finally playing this game, the full version, it really is like, I kind of look at their $30 price now and I'm like, okay, I kind of get it. I still think it's a little on the high side. Feel a hell of a lot better if it was 20, but I kind of get it now playing through it. I don't have much to say other than that I finally got to Area X and I played through the entire Area X experience, which lasts maybe, I don't know, 17 to 25 minutes or something. I don't know how long that section goes. But what I will tell you is towards the very end of that experience, like the last couple of minutes of that experience, I started to get this feeling while I was playing. This is going to sound a little weird, but it was almost like a tingling sensation, like going down my arms and stuff of wow, these fools absolutely killed this, I almost at one point, no joke, almost started tearing up inside the headset while I was playing it because of this incredible symphony of visuals and sound that was just going all around me 360 degrees. I was like, these guys are on another level. Okay. They're on another level. We need Japanese designers that are doing incredible things with VR. And that's what's going on with this game. And Area X blew me away. It was one of those rare moments, like I maybe have like 20 of them in all of VR of different experiences I've had, where you get a tingle sensation, like you get the chills, and it's like, oh shit, this is another level. This is what we dream about. Steve, I know you played it a while back. Like you actually bought this one time.
Yeah, Sony did a sale at some point, so I know I didn't pay the full price. I think I paid maybe 20, which I think was the point you said you would prefer to see this game at. And yeah, I like it's been several months now since I've done Area X, but no, it's really good. It's a great experience. For me, like I recommend everyone doing it. So it's, for me, it wasn't as I went into it with such high expectations because of how everyone talked about it, that there was really no way it was going to live up to those expectations, because I just thought it was just going to be godlike, and it was really, really, really good. Everyone go out and give it a go. But it's also one of those things, like once you experience it, like for me, like I can't necessarily, I can go play it again, but I'm sure it won't feel as cool because I know what to expect. And I do think the developer should do a full game that way. I mean, hell, even set Area X aside, like the 5th level of Rez itself, like that level was pretty damn awesome too. And like they should make another game. But at the same time, if they don't make another game, I kind of understand why. It's kind of like the Matrix or something, where no matter what they do, they run the risk of tarnishing it. Like if they can't make it as good, then it just kind of brings the whole franchise down. Like, and that's the way I feel about Matrix 2 and 3. Like, yeah, they were good enough. I watched them. I like seeing the conclusion of the story, but they couldn't recreate what the original Matrix was. And Rez may kind of reside in kind of nerd folklore and gamer folklore in the same way. Like a Rez 2 or whatever just won't be able to have that same magic necessarily. So I get it if they don't make one, but still they should be giving it a hard look.
Yeah. Another quick one I'll just mention real quick. I don't think you've ever played this one, is Drunken Bar Fight. I believe it's by The Monkey, like MUNKY or something like that.
No, I haven't played it.
This is another one. I got the key, so full disclosure, it's raining keys. So we're getting to try a lot of these games. But I'll say personally, if I don't like your game, I'm going to be honest about it. So if you give me a key, I'm going to be honest. You're not buying my favor. But Drunken Bar Fight is, I think it's $12 for this game, and I don't believe it's on sale right now, but I'd have to double check. But basically what this game is if you like thrill of the fight, this is kind of similar to that in terms of the feel of it. And it's almost like this fantasy fulfillment thing. So if you've seen the original movie Westworld, which is like a 1973 movie, great movie, by the way, that's where they figured out how to do Terminator and all that. The original Terminator was Yul Brynner at the end of Westworld, but that's another diatribe right there. But the movie Westworld has a bar fight scene in there, the classic bar fight, but this is in like the Wild West. And the guys are grabbing chairs and they're smashing chairs over people. They're taking whiskey bottles and smashing it over people's heads, and classic bar fight, right? Well, Drunken Bar Fight, that's what this is. You're in this bar and there's a bunch of people talking and mingling, and there's some pretty good 3D audio going on with different people mingling, and you hear like a radio that has actual real radio commercials, which is a little bit weird. But on the bar counter, there's whiskey bottles, there's beer bottles, there's wine bottles, there's beer jugs. And the way this game works is you want to actually grab this alcohol and you want to start drinking it. It's a part of the game. You actually want to be as drunk as you can be, because the drunker you are, the more power you have when you start smashing bottles and things over everybody's heads. And so that's where this game goes, is when you want to start going, you want to start fighting, you grab that whiskey bottle, that guy's right there, and you just blam right in the guy's head, and then that activates him, and now he's coming after you, and you got to fight the guy. And if he ends up knocking you on the ground, like you'll get knocked out, what'll happen is you'll see your body laying on the ground, and you have to like use your controllers and kind of grab your body by like the armpit area kind of, and you got to wrestle your guy back up on his feet, and you're kind of fumbling around and kind of spinning and turning, and so you kind of get him back straight, and then boom, now you're back up and you're ready to fight again. But it's fun to throw things in VR. We know how fun it is to throw, but you're grabbing like bar stools and you're just smashing it over these people's heads. And there's definitely a comedy factor to it. I still need to like learn it a little bit better in terms of what I'm doing, because I haven't been able to beat the entire bar yet. I get a certain way through and then I end up getting knocked out and have to start over. But it's an interesting game. So I don't really like, as far as a recommendation, $12. If it's your type of thing, if you really like thrill of the fight and you've always kind of fantasized about being in a barroom brawl and just going crazy, slamming things off everywhere and just creating havoc, it's pretty fun. So, I'll say that.
Okay. No, I haven't played it, and I got a lot of stuff to play. I don't know if I'll ever get to it, but the next one I'm going to talk about is Feral Rites. Last week, Chris, he plugged this game like two or three times, so much so that I had to ask him if he had a secret side investment with the developer or something. But no, he just likes the game, and I believe this is I had it up and I closed it accidentally, but I think it's a $40 game normally, at least $30, and it's on sale with the Oculus Summer Sale now for $10. So I bought it, and I mostly off of his recommendation. It wasn't a game that was really on my radar, and I'm glad I did. It's a third-person game, a la Lucky's Tale and Chronos. We've all talked about those and seen those. So from that, it's one of the few non first-person type games. But it is a Insomniac is the developer, and it is well done. So you have that. You have graphics that are not the most amazing, but well enough, and with a production value and voice acting and all the things that you kind of expect from mainstream pancake games. All of that is present in this game, and it's almost more like a Streets of Rage mixed with God of War. It's nowhere near on the level that God of War is in terms of its combat mechanics, but it is a reasonably intricate combat system with combos and jumps and blocking and timing your blocks so that your character does a counter, and it feels good to do the combat. And there's an alternate kind of form, you almost kind of like Altered Beast. You can transform into this larger, more powerful, animalistic spirit, I guess, and you have a different attack set. And there's a whole narrative around it, and all in all, it's kind of a total package. It's a good quality experience, and for $10 I am going to recommend it. It fits that. So Anthony was talking earlier about Twisted Arrow and how he was getting kind of the Twisted Arrow armpit, kind of like tennis elbow, and this game can be a counter to that when you don't feel like sweating. I sweated my butt off playing VR Sports Challenge. Like when you don't feel like doing that, you kind of want to do something a little more low key. This is where a game like this can kind of sit in and still be a fun experience, and VR still brings something to the table that traditional gaming doesn't. So I don't know, did you have a chance to play this any? So I know you got it, but I don't know if you played it much.
I barely started it, and I'm in the tutorial, and I'm at this one point of the tutorial where it tells you like you're supposed to do a roll, and then you hit, I believe, the Y button to do like an uppercut punch that sends the guy up in the air. You have this guy that's like talking to you, and he's like, you can attack enemies even when they're in the air, and he's going through the whole thing. And so you do this roll, you pop the guy up, he's up in the air. I've done that like 20 million times, but it's not passing that.
So I was stuck there a little bit. The bad guys will just keep coming. So it's trying to teach you the mechanics. So you do that, you pop them up in the air, and I think you're probably trying to juggle them, kind of hit them again to sort of a la Robo Recall.
Well, I was wondering, what do they want me to do? So yeah, I'm trying to do something.
While it's in the air, while you've knocked the guy up, jump yourself and just hit one of your attack buttons and jump, hit them in air while you are also in air, and then you'll move on past that. It'll unlock the next screen or whatever.
Yeah, I didn't try jumping.
I was caught up with that. Like they weren't very clear. I think they made a mistake there. But once you do that, you'll move on, and you'll be pretty much done with the tutorial aspect of it. But after that, it opens, and you get you unlock abilities where you collect resources, and you can buy different types of armor, and then you can upgrade that armor with different effects. It's kind of got an upgrade system, not all that different from Dead Effect 2. And also it opens up sort of a open world type map where you can go to your objective, but then you can also go to other things and get collectibles. And it's got all those tropes of a game, again, a traditional pancake fully featured mainstream game. It's ticking sort of all of those boxes, but also in VR.
Yeah, if you've already played Chronos and you've already completed Chronos, then I could probably recommend. Well, I mean, I'm super early, so I mean, maybe I'll fall in love with it if I stick with it and I get further into it. But right now, I'm glad it was $10. But it's like, I don't know how much Chronos has been during this sale. I don't know if it was on like a daily deal or anything, but that would have been my preferred one to play of this type of game.
Yeah. I would recommend Chronos too, because it does a lot of other things that are very. I think overall Chronos. Well, I've beaten Chronos. I haven't beaten Feral Rites. I've played it for maybe an hour. So it's like I guess it would be unfair for me to say objectively that Chronos is a better game. But I have a feeling at this point in time that Chronos is probably the game that I'm going to think is better. But I still think this is going to be good, and I still think it's something that I'm probably going to finish, if not get invest a lot of hours into, if I don't finish it. So we have we've got pretty long. I think we got time for one more if you want to do one more, Anthony, or if you want to call it.
Nah, we can go ahead and call it. Yeah, I'll tell you what though, just as a summary, it's like, this is a beautiful time right now to have so many games. I literally, I was telling you as well, we were talking off air about hard drive spaces. And it's like I'm now going through, last night I had to go through my hard drive and look at all the demos that I'm probably never going to fire up, or any little download that happened to be a ton of gigs and stuff. And I'm starting to delete all that stuff because it's like, I need some space, man. But there's so many games I have to play. I almost want to just can we freeze time right here and we can start it up again later and give me about 200 hours to go play all these games?
Yeah, it's again, I'm glad my family is taking a summer trip. I'm going to join them about halfway through the trip, so I don't have to go a whole month without seeing them. That's a long time to not see your wife and kids. But I'm going to have at least, a split up, but a little more than 3 weeks of being home alone, essentially. And I'm really planning on leveraging that time to bang through a lot of these games. And I know during that time, things are going to keep coming out. At the very least, from a major perspective, we have Lone Echo. But do we have, you're somewhat in the know. What should listeners be on the lookout that is slated to release in the next 3 to 4 weeks? Put you on the spot.
Well, PlayStation VR Super Hot is a game that should be coming to PlayStation VR very soon. And then this Tuesday, we have Ancient Amuletter and Arizona Sunshine both coming to PlayStation VR. So PlayStation VR is getting a lot of stuff that's popping. For us, for like Steam and Oculus and all of that, the next really big game that I know about, now this is August 15th, so this is a while away, but Soul Keeper VR is going to enter early access August 15th. That's exciting. I know there's other stuff coming in July like Archangel, but I think it might be a PlayStation VR temporary exclusive. There's a lot of little deals like that. And then, of course, Lone Echo, July 20th. What more do you need? That's going to be a banger.
Yep, I really look forward to that one. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and end it there. This has been episode 41 of VR Roundtable. We are 11 shy of making it a whole year. So in this year, if you've liked what we're doing, make sure you hit our subscribe button, send us an email, vrroundtable@gmail.com. You can check out our website. It's kind of little of a little bonus and related to the podcast and YouTube show. That's at vrroundtable.net. Then you can find us on Twitter and Facebook. Just search for us. You'll know how to do it. And we'll see you next time. Later.
Take it easy, guys.